The construction industry in Spain is the production centre which has seen the biggest growth in recent years. This growth has led to a considerable increase in the number of construction works. A great number of accidents that take place in the construction industry happen when workers fall from heights. This mainly occurs when carrying out construction work on roofs and covered areas, inside and outside shafts, and on scaffolding. To a great extent, this type of accident results in a very high proportion of fatalities, and on many occasions in extremely serious injuries, with important consequences for the victim. These consequences are sometimes of a chronic nature, and in many cases, they prevent a return to normal life. In this video report, we will show you the importance of prevention measures that can be taken to avoid accidental falls from heights. In order to do this, we will go over the different types of protection that are available, both to the workforce and to the individual, and we will teach you how to make good use of them. Finally, before we begin, it is vital to remember that prevention starts with the individual, and that there are norms and procedures to be followed. The importance of using common sense and exercising caution can never be overemphasized.
Minimum applicable legislation. Law for the prevention of risks in the workplace. Law regulating subcontracting in the construction industry. Royal Decree regulating subcontracting in the construction industry. Minimum health and safety measures for the use of work equipment by workers when working on a temporary basis at a height. Minimum health and safety measures for construction work. Minimum health and safety measures for the use of individual protection equipment by the workers. Order by which the essential minimum requirements for the use, assembly, dismantling and maintenance of tubular scaffolding in the independent community of the region of Murcia are regulated.
Falls from a height. Given the seriousness of falls from a height, we are going to give a brief preview of what measures can be taken to avoid such risks. The strategy that needs to be adopted to prevent falls from a height is the following. Prevention of a fall. The best way to avoid risks is to eliminate them, whether it is by following procedures and work methods, by integrating safety measures, or by installing protective devices for the workforce, such as safety rails. Limiting a fall. If it isn't possible to prevent a fall, then one has to limit the effects of a fall by using, for example, nets. Protection of the individual worker. If it is not possible to prevent a fall by the use of devices, or if those devices are insufficient, then we must use individual protection equipment.
Safety rails. The first question that we must consider is, do we have adequate means to prevent an accidental fall? A very basic means of protection are the above-mentioned safety rails. Rails are as important as safety nets since, in the first instance, they prevent workers from falling from a height. Platforms, scaffolding and footbridges, as well as uneven surfaces and existing holes in the work floor, all these present a risk to the workers of falling from a height of 2 meters or more, but who can be protected by means of rails or other equivalent safety systems designed to protect the workforce. The rails should be resistant. They should have a minimum height of 90 centimeters and should have handrails with an additional bar and a baseboard to prevent the workers overstepping or slipping.
The nets. Let us now concentrate on the use and the types of nets. A safety net has a perimeter cord, or another type of arrangement, or a combination of both, designed to catch people who fall from a certain height. So that the net can fulfill its function and guarantee the safety of the worker, it has to fulfill 3 requirements. That all falls take place within the scope of the net, that the person, once caught in the net, does not suffer any injuries, that the net is able to absorb the force of the impact. We also have to bear in mind existing external factors which could affect the state of the nets, and here we note some of them. The climate seriously affects the fabric of the nets, deteriorating them, and therefore diminishing their effectiveness, and consequently increasing the danger level. The nets also deteriorate as a result of oxidation of the iron parts, such as supports and anchorages. To all this, it is necessary to add the natural aging of the net fabric. 2 main types of nets exist. Horizontal catch nets, designed to prevent the workers from falling through openings in the metal framework, the lateral cords being firmly kept in place by supports embedded in the metal framework. Vertical nets with hangman-type netting. As it is the most widely used, we are going to go over some aspects of the hangman-type nets. They are installed so that there is a small catchment pocket in the base of the net. The installation of the nets is done in consecutive sections. The maximum height a person can fall to the net should never be more than 6 meters, or the equivalent of 1 or 2 sections. In order to place the supports, we have to insert squares, supporting each other, the distance between these squares being less than 5 meters. The nets are attached underneath by their perimeter cord to anchorage irons. These anchorage irons being placed on the metal framework edge every 50 centimeters. Wherever possible, the perimeter protection rail should be in place before removing the nets to protect against falls.
Scaffolding. We are now going to turn to something else of great importance in the prevention of falls at different levels in the construction industry. Scaffolding. In the first place, we are going to go through the main types of scaffolding. Rack scaffolding is a suspended platform that elevates people and materials to the correct height for working. The scaffolding have the requisite perimeter rail. Tubular metal scaffolding is an auxiliary construction formed by a metal tubular structure used on a temporary basis to carry out a particular job. Tubular type scaffolding is the most widely used in the construction world. This type of scaffolding is made up of a metal tube structure arranged on parallel planes with rows of posts or sections joined to each other by diagonals and with work platforms positioned at the correct height to carry out the required work. The supports of the tubular scaffolding are placed on levelling studs equipped with support bases. They are used to ensure the stability of the unit. They should be sufficiently resistant in order to support the maximum load they have to bear. The work platforms should preferably be made of metal, but in cases where they are made of wood, the planks should be joined to each other and fixed to the tubular structure. The work platforms should be protected by means of rigid railings, 90 centimeters in height, around the entire perimeter. The platforms should have handrails, a supplementary bar and a baseboard. As for the assembling and dismantling of the tubular scaffolding, the following must be rigorously observed. The assembly and dismantling of the scaffolding should be carried out by specially trained and experienced personnel who are aware of the inherent risks of these operations and who have documentary proof of having received such training. According to the type of scaffolding, these operations should be carried out in accordance with the established assembly plan for the use, assembly and dismantling, or in accordance with the instructions provided by the manufacturer. Parts which are in a state of deterioration or which have been poorly maintained should never be used in the assembly of the scaffolding. The scaffolding should be inspected before use, at regular intervals, or after any modification, after a period of non-use, after exposure to the elements, after seismic shocks, or under any other circumstances which should affect its resistance or stability, by a person with university or professional training that qualifies them for that task. Rack scaffolding. A temporary construction used as an additional aid to carry out different tasks, allowing access to the worksite and to materials. These should have metal or wooden platforms with a minimum width of 60 centimeters.
Additional safety for tubular scaffolding. The scaffolding should be designed, assembled and maintained properly to prevent it collapsing or accidentally moving. The work platforms, footbridges and stairs of the scaffolding should be constructed, sized, protected and used in such a way as to prevent people falling or being exposed to falling objects. To this end, its dimensions should be adjusted to the number of workers who are going to use it. During the assembly and dismantling of the tubular structure, the workers should use suitable safety belts with anti-fall devices where necessary. Under no circumstances should the scaffolding lean on any additional things, such as low-resistant or unstable objects like cans, or piles of various objects like concrete blocks, bricks, etc. It is forbidden to work on days where there is a strong wind or when you have been advised of adverse meteorological conditions. It is forbidden to use racks on work platforms installed on tubular scaffolding.
Individual protection equipment, IPE. Individual protection equipment should be used where there are risks to the health or safety of the workforce, which cannot be avoided or which cannot be sufficiently limited by the use of devices to protect the workforce. These should provide effective protection without causing a risk in themselves, nor should they cause unnecessary inconvenience to the worker. With this in mind, they should take account of the anatomical and physiological conditions and the worker's state of health, adapt to the wearer after the necessary adjustments. Now we are going to concentrate on equipment that prevents falls at different levels. They are designed to attach a person to an anchorage point, either to avoid falls from a height or to stop a fall safely. We have two large groups of protection systems. Anti-fall systems. Individual protection equipment designed to stop falls, which consists of a harness and auxiliary means of connection. The anti-fall systems can be retractable. They include an automatic blocking function and a tension and retraction system to the connection device. Sliding with an automatic blocking function and a guidance system, which moves through an anchorage line. And there are also fall devices with energy absorbers, which guarantee to safely stop a fall from a height under normal conditions of use. Attachment systems. Individual protection equipment designed to be attached when working. A belt and a mooring device, which allows the belt to be attached. This mooring device must be equipped with a system that allows the length to be adjusted and is a maximum of 2 meters, although its length can be increased in exceptional circumstances. In addition to the above, we must not forget that the use of individual protection equipment is obligatory, in addition to the safety helmet and safety footwear.
We have gone through the different types of equipment and means of protection available to prevent accidents in the construction industry. But we also have to remember to prevent risks in the workplace.
It needs the commitment of everyone.